Welcome to Prophetic Table Talk tonight. It is Sunday night again at 8:30. We're glad to be here with you. And first thing we want to start out with tonight is news about Rudy Giuliani. Shane, if you'll pull that up. The last that I know about this, or that we know about this before we came on the show, if y'all know anything different, he's been taken to the hospital and he's supposed to be in critical condition. This is a statement released by Trump. Our fabulous Rudy Giuliani, a true warrior and best mayor in the history of New York City, by far has been hospitalized and is in critical condition. What a tragedy that he was treated so badly by the radical left lunatics, Democrats. Okay. And then it says everything they cheated on elections, fabricated hundreds of stories, and did everything possible to destroy our nation. And now look at Rudy, so sad. President Donald J. Trump. So, intercessors, he needs our prayers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, we have James Comey that's been invited, and not invited, indicted. I guess
Indicted.
he's been
Yes.
invited to appear before the jury, in the grand jury. I guess that's what it is. So, he was invited by an indictment. So the charges ties to the 8647 Post. Okay. So former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted again. So this is not the first time. This time over an Instagram post that showed seashells arranged to read 8746. The prosecutors are saying 87 can mean to get rid of.
86.
86. I'm sorry. 86 can mean to get rid of or eliminate, and 47, 47th president. Combined, it can be interpreted as a threat. Comey says he did not mean it that way. He claims he saw it on the beach and viewed it as a political message, not anything violent. But now it's in court. Anybody got a comment about that?
Yeah, actually, I do. Here's an interesting thing. Now, everybody was calling for the second that Trump went in, and we have Kash Patel in the FBI. We have Dan Bongino, and they're working with Kash Patel and everything that's going on. The second Trump went in, everybody wanted him to indict everybody, put everybody in prison. But what you're forgetting is we still have this legal process, and we still have this issue where the courts and judges are in control of our nation, not the government. Literally, judges are controlling our nation. So that being said, when you look at what's been going on for the last 9 months, is Kash Patel has been investigating James Comey. They're not going to bring him up to be indicted on something like this without having a larger case behind. So, and look at it like this. They dug through his past and his history for the past 9 months. And you can say, well, it took him an awful long time. Well, he's been in there for nearly 26 years. I think it's 25 years, 6 months, and 14 days that he's been in there. So, and a part of government, a part of FBI. So they had a lot of records to go through to find everything they could to build a case. So when they did indict him this time, it's going to stick.
That's good.
So
this is what we've been waiting for, folks.
It's what we've been waiting for. Yes, I would have loved to have had it happen 2 months after Trump was in office. But at the same time, they're actually at the same time they're going after James Comey. They're going after Dr. Fauci. So it's happening. It's not happening as fast as we wanted it to, but it is definitely happening.
That's right. We got to get our system corrected.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so voters, y'all keep in mind.
And they're fighting, and understand, they're fighting judges all the way. Judges are actually trying to stop them from even investigating. I don't think people realize that. How many judges' orders that they've had to fight through just to investigate data that's a part of the FBI.
That's true. And it's interesting, once they got Pam Bondi out, they come down and now start indicting.
Yep. And I think this is probably going to be the reason that Dan Bongino stepped away. I think he stepped away for family reasons. I think it came down to the fact he realized how big this really was and how deep it really went. And I think he was afraid for his life and his family's life.
That's a big thing. It really is. Okay, so North Carolina voter rolls for 34,000 votes. I had to count my zeros to make sure I was reading this right.
Yes, it's right. You're
34,000
correct.
deceased people still listed on the voter rolls in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So they found 34,000 deceased individuals still on the voters' roll after cross checking millions of records in North Carolina. So, what has anybody got to say about that except, oh my gosh?
Yeah, but I mean, North Carolina. I mean, it's just like everybody else. We got all these deceased people on there, but I mean, they don't vote, right?
Hopefully they don't.
Because you got to show your ID to be able to vote, right?
Hopefully you do. Wish I do. I mean, this lady up here has known us, I mean, and I still have to show her my ID.
Mm-hmm.
And she sits there and she looks at everybody's ID. And we've all lived in the same community for years together.
Yep.
Okay. But she's doing her job.
She's doing her job.
She is. Okay. So the Supreme Court struck down the Louisiana congressional map in a 6-3 decision, ruling that it was constitutional to gerrymander under the 14th Amendment. At the center of the case was Louisiana's map, which created a second majority black district. Have you ever seen this map? I mean, it goes across like this. It's just a wide
Mm-hmm.
spaghetti string across the state of Louisiana to pull out two black districts. And I mean, so basically, it was created after a lower court ruled Louisiana's original map violated Section 2 of the Voters' Right Act. And I checked the Voters' Right Act. It never called for a black district. But the courts themselves started interpreting it to call for a black district. It was the courts' interpretations that has got the gerrymandering going. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And most southern states have been, you've got it up, Shane, if you'll show it. There it is. There's the two black districts. How can that be a legal district to go like that? I
Well,
mean,
let me tell you what happened. We had in Louisiana when they had the districting. The reason it got drawn like this is because this was a lawsuit that was backed by the NAACP
hmm
to allow for black votes to be counted as strictly black votes and not be counted in with white votes is literally what they did. And then this is the map that came from that lawsuit.
and it,
And then on the back end, they used the same information to turn around and use it against the Democrats that to actually change it from this to the new map. So the and I think let's see if this is going to be the new one here. I don't have a quick picture of the new one, but the redistricting map. Let's see if I can get a quick picture of it.
so
No.
basically the core, you look,
So basically, the new map just basically covers New Orleans and a little bit of Baton Rouge.
okay, but the governors are jumping on this, and Mississippi has already called for
Mm-hmm.
redistricting. Go Tate Reeves. Governor Jeff Landry has not waited around. As soon as this came up, he is calling for. In fact, he suspended the upcoming congressional primaries and early voting was about to begin. Instead of trying to push forward with uncertainty, he hit pause and gave the legislature time to fix this in his state. And Kay Ivey has called a session on Monday to redraw Alabama's line. So the states are really jumping on this and they are basically wanting to redo this correctly because we have had unfair control, I think, in our
Yep. And the Republicans are pushing for the governor of Tennessee to follow suit as well and squeeze one more Democrat seat out of Tennessee and add one more Republican seat.
What I think is interesting is the two northern states that are under court orders to have black districts are New York and New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
The rest are southern states. And I think it's interesting that New York has this
Mm-hmm.
and ordered like this. So just saying. But there is, if you have it pulled up, there's Trump's idea of redistricting. Do you have that one pulled up, Shane? Just thought I'd share
Yes.
everybody, let everybody see how President Trump is going to redistrict this thing. There, okay, but that's it. Oh, now how does that look?
Much
That's
better.
a big change, is it not? That's our true country. When
It
you
is.
say it red, it is. It's our true country. And I remember being in Europe, and some of the people in Europe were saying, "We don't understand uh, how President Trump got elected." And we said, "Well, really, the majority of the United States is conservative. It is not liberal." And people have a hard time in Europe seeing that, but we're not liberal. We're conservative. We love the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have Jimmy Kimmel, and he had a lot to say that he shouldn't have said. I don't know. But he looked into the camera at last week's White House Correspondents' Dinner and joked. He said he joked that Melania Trump looked like an expectant widow. That kind of line didn't go too well, especially with Melania. Okay? It punches at an image of a wife standing behind a husband who's already survived more than one assassination attempt. But the Constitution doesn't grade comedy on a curve. It doesn't require jokes to be funny or even in good taste. Kimmel has had the right, ABC has had the right to air it, and Disney has the right to employ him. That's free speech. But
Mm-hmm.
ABC isn't paying Kimmel the big bucks in prime time because they support his right to free speech. They want to profit off of his thoughts and what he says to his audience. But First Lady Melania Trump has called for Jimmy Kimmel to be fired by ABC for his jokes he made. Okay. Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country, said the First Lady. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. The First Lady wrote on Truth Social Media Monday. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimball's behavior at the expense of our community? She added, calling on the network to take a stand. Does
Yeah.
anybody have thoughts about this?
Yeah. I think we all need to see the actual what he said right here. I've got it pulled up. Look at where he said this. Okay. You see the podium right here. Do you see where he's actually saying this? Are y'all ready?
And of course, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow. You know, Melania's birthday is.
So he said that at the White House Correspondents' Dinner from the podium in front of her.
Hmm.
I think people need it because this wasn't something he said on his late night show that nobody watches. And there's a lot to be said, you know, talking about conspiracy theories, saying that the whole shooting incident at the dinner was a setup by Trump, and it was nothing but to push his ballroom, to get his ballroom, and what the Democrats saying, because and they're using the comment that was said that, you know, when they were talking about his speech, that bullets, you know, shots would be fired as proof, but yet it was Jimmy that said it from the stage for everybody to see, expectant widow.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so their narrative falls apart with their own people.
That's true. And if it was Democrats, oh my gosh, it wouldn't be.
Oh yeah, if that would have been Biden, oh my God, or God forbid Obama.
Okay. Wow, so that's a lot to think about, folks. Okay, so there's a video out that shows the moment Cole Allen ran through the security at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday. The video posted to social media by U.S. Attorney Janine. I know her name is good as mine. Say her last name for me. Judge Janine, we'll just leave it that way, shows that about 9 security personnel before Allen bolted through the security checkpoint with a gun. There's no evidence the shooting was a result of friendly fire. One of the agents in the footage pulls his gun and aims at Allen almost immediately. Judge Janine says the video provides evidence against the rumor that Secret Service officers shot during the incident was injured by another officer and not Allen. There's no evidence the shooting was a result of friendly fire, she wrote. The video also shows Allen, Allen casing the area of the Hilton Hotel the day before the attack. So Allen was charged with 1 count of attempted assassination of the President of the United States and 1 count of interstate transportation of firearms to commit a felony, and another count of discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence. Wow. So the video is there to be seen. Anybody got a comment more on this one?
No, they're doing the right thing. He'll be in prison for the rest of his life. Oh, yeah, there is one thing. His attorney is fighting to have him released on bail because he's of no threat to anyone.
Really?
That's what she said. That was her words, not mine.
Okay, so he's no threat to anyone, but he comes and he threatens all these people, right?
Yeah, he's no threat to anyone. So release him on bail.
So even if it
There's
wasn't,
your judicial system that's running the United States.
so my thought is even if it was staged event, you have somebody running around with a gun that's willing to run around a gun with all these people, he could shoot somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just say it, okay? Okay, so snaps. Now we have 500,000 duplicate benefits that's been found in the SNAP program. This is one of those stories that people are just going to ignore because we don't want to know about it. USDA back reviewed across 29 states has found roughly 500,000 individuals, 500,000, 500,000 were receiving SNAP benefits in multiple states at the same time. In other words, in Georgia and Alabama and Mississippi, all at the same time. On top of that, somewhere between 244,000 deceased individuals
Mm-hmm.
are still on the SNAPS roll.
Mm-hmm.
We got all these deceased voters on roll. Now
Mm-hmm.
we have all these deceased individuals receiving SNAPs or still on the roll.
Yep.
Okay,
You
just
got it.
saying. And when you start digging into it, authorities have already made nearly 900 arrests tied to SNAP frauds. There are documented cases of people on the program owning luxury vehicles, which points to something wrong with the system.
Yep. Yeah, there's even been documented cases of people that are receiving multiple SNAP benefits that are driving Ferraris.
Well, yeah, luxury vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you could drive luxury vehicles when you don't buy groceries.
Yeah, with the current price of gas and all the price gouging that they're doing with gas and the everything that they're adding in on top of gas is and diesel fuel as far as taxes right now. Yeah, I could. That's why the grocery prices are going up because of the diesel fuel prices.
Mhm.
I mean, my God, you could come to a small town and buy diesel for nearly $1 a gallon cheaper than buying it out on the main interstate.
That's
But
true.
these 18-wheelers are forced to buy it on the main interstate because they can't leave the interstate with their heavy loads and justify leaving the interstate and buying diesel elsewhere. So they're forced to pay $1 a gallon more just because of price gouging alone. Period.
And probably the one most visited store by everybody every week is a food store.
Yeah.
I would say that's the one people go to more than any other store.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if you get somebody to buy your groceries, like the government and taxpayers, then you can drive a nice
Mm-hmm.
vehicle, or you can drive one anyway. But anyway, okay. So we had a visit from the King, King Charles, and there was not a protester lined up to protest the king being here. When they did all of this No King's Day, you would have
Yeah.
thought it would have been flooded with protesters for having a king here. So we had a real king and nobody protested. Okay. But this is supposed to be part of the 250th anniversary program to invite the person that you defeated, or the representative of the country you defeated. And King Charles is a direct descendant of King George, who was the king at the time the American Revolution was won. It's supposed to reinforce the special relationship of the United States and the UK. They had a
Mm-hmm.
dinner. He made a historic remark to Congress. They visited the New York 911 Memorial and did some Virginia community events. Um, King Charles said to Congress that he emphasized they shared democratic values, even though the United States is a republic. He says we stand in our commitment to uphold democracy. Okay, he called for cooperation amid the disagreements between the UK and the United States. Okay, he framed history as reconciliation, not rivalry, from war to alliance. And he highlighted that the US and the UK's bond is one of the most important alliances in history. Okay, he stressed checks on executive power and protection of institutions. Okay, he addressed the White House correspondent dinner shooting. He talked about that. And he honored the law enforcement and public servants. He called for environmental stewardship. He has got that environmental thing going all the time, doesn't
Yep.
he?
He
With
sure
his wind,
does.
wind turbines going through there, right? And his support, he did emphasize his support for Ukraine and international unity. He used some humor about the Revolutionary War, and Trump did have guards dressed up as Revolutionary War soldiers for his
Yes, he
visit.
did.
But Melania dressed in some of the styles that Princess Diana would have really loved, especially the big hat and
Mm-hmm.
the clothing that looked very much like Diana with Camilla. That's very interesting. He joked that he wasn't just there as a rear guard auction, and he closed with blessings and recommitment. God bless the United States and the United Kingdom. So overall, okay, he I said there is present partnership. Democracy must be protected. He said the nation and our nation and his nation should cooperate globally. Um, So basically, there was some kind of undertones that was reported in his speech. He encouraged limits on power and democratic norms, balanced with diplomacy without openly confronting U.S. leadership. And one other interesting thing that I thought was very interesting is they went to the beehive. I did not know that the White House had a beehive until this was going on. And I taught history for a long time. But anyway, I discovered that when they would change power in the days of the kings and queens still, they go to the beehive and announce to the bees that the power's being changed. Very interestingly, if you kept up with this, Melania, President Trump went with them to visit the White House bees, and lo and behold, a bee landed in Trump's hand. I guess he was saying that's where the power is, since
Yes.
it was always politically correct to announce to the bees who was in power. So this is 250 years. So biblically, this is 5 jubilees. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
5 is the meaning of grace. Okay. The cycle of completion. And it's a legal moment in the spirit realm. What does it account for? Okay. It means that accounts are being reviewed, established, and weighed out in the spirit realm. So the king speaking over America, especially being a descendant of King George III. So we did have a real king standing in Congress speaking over the nation, which is not normal historically. That doesn't really happen. But it's prophetic symbolism. And what do you think it represents? It revisits who the authority is, especially when they went and to the bees.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody got a comment on that one?
No, I'm
Sonia,
good on
you got
that
a
one. That
comment
was a
on that?
lot.
That was a lot. Anybody else? Sonia, you got a comment on that?
No.
Nope. We're all thinking about this. Well, there's your update on Keith Charles' visit, okay? And Oklahoma State Senate candidate Gary Christian was found dead Thursday. The
Mm-hmm.
State Bureau of Investigation confirmed in social media he was last seen Tuesday in Oklahoma. The cause of death has not yet been determined. He was 54. He was among 3 candidates running in the Republican primary for District 38. He was reported missing on Wednesday after failing to appear at his scheduled meeting. Anybody got a comment there?
Yeah, all I can tell you, it's a lot of conspiracy theories going on right now surrounding that. But the fact of where he was actually found, number one, his pickup was found crashed in a ditch. Yes, they found the truck, but the official police report says that they found the truck and then later found the body.
Okay.
So, speaking that the truck was crashed and the body, it's insinuating the body was not in the truck.
Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you put this with all of the missing scientists and the disappearing scientists that we talked about last week, it's just something strange going on.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Don't know really how to take this or what to say with it, but we thought we would let you know about this. And we talked about this last week, but it is official. The UAE leaves OPEC. This is one of the bigger global developments. It could have a long-term effect. The United Arab Emirates has officially exited OPEC after 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the reason is straightforward. The UAE wants more control over its own production and doesn't want to be limited by coordinated output agreements, especially at a time when global demand is shifting and geopolitical tensions are high. This gives them more flexibility not to be a part of OPEC. They
Yeah.
can increase production faster and take advantages of opportunity without being tied to OPEC.
Mm-hmm.
Any comment there?
This is what I've been telling you the whole time. Trump's war that he's doing in Iran is on OPEC. It's not against Iran. It's against OPEC. All of this stuff that you see going on is against OPEC. Everything from Venezuela to Iran and everything in between. And so, yeah, this is absolutely what he's going to go after and continue to go after. And this weakens OPEC. It weakens them setting the price of oil, and it weakens them setting the amount of oil that can be sold or produced. They call themselves protecting the price, is what they're doing. But what they're not taking into account is the global demand has increased so much in the past 60 years that if they actually brought in enough oil to stabilize the price, at a specific amount, gas prices would go down, overall cost would go down, and production would go up. But they're not concerned as much about that as they are concerned about how to line their pockets. And that's been the whole purpose of OPEC.
Yeah. Yes, and they have definitely lined their pockets, have they not?
Yep. So they better have saved their money, invested their money well, because otherwise they're going to be broke.
Well, okay. 3 United States states have introduced legislation designating COVID-19 mRNA injections as a biological weapon of mass destruction. Okay, this is Tennessee Bill SB 1949. This is Arizona House Bill 2974. And this is Minnesota's in on this one, House Bill 3219. And it says this is because the mRNA shots have killed, injured, and disabled more people than 100 plus nuclear attacks on Hiroshima, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody? Oh, we got a picture to show with that. Okay. So he has a comment about this. This is huge for even Arizona. Even Arizona now, where we've had Maricopa County and all of the voter fraud, is now rising up against the vaccine and is actually going to declare it a biological weapon of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So this is from the Journal of American Physicians and Surgeons, COVID-19 injection harms and damages. And it gives you the doctors that are speaking against. So there's many more doctors on this list, but these are some of the leading doctors that are speaking against this vaccine. Any comment? Sonia, have you got a comment on this one?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Wow. Wow. I don't really have a comment on it. I'm not surprised though. Biological weapons of mass destruction. Yes. People's health have gone, people have died, people have come up with different illnesses because of these injections. All kind of problems. So yes, I'm not surprised.
Well, it's a good thing that states are now rising up, and it will be like hope.
Oh, absolutely.
It is.
Absolutely.
So maybe more states will now follow, and we can get something done state per state.
Yeah, we actually have a family member that actually was forced to take the COVID injection for his job working in government, and it flamed up an unknown dormant autoimmune disease, and he's been fighting it for the last going on 5 years, and now he's basically bedridden.
Yeah.
And he's not very old.
It's been terrible. Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe other states will rise up and do the same. You know, something needs to be done about it. It should have never happened, but it did. So, anyway,
there was a lot of fear tactics and mandates used to let people take this or jobs.
Oh my goodness. Oh yes, absolutely.
It was a ton. And Sonia, you being in the medical field, you saw it forefront how much fear tactics that they were pushing on everybody was absolutely wild.
It was fear. It was, the Bible says that the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And that's what the thief did. The thief got in there, the enemy got in there and stole people's livelihoods, stole their peace, all sorts of things. I mean, it was very, very destructive that happened. And I think there should be some retribution for these people, especially those that have lost loved ones. When a patient dies, if the physician, to cover his tracks, a lot of times will put on the death certificate something that's not even related to what the true cause of death is. And I've heard of cases where that was true, where it was the vaccine that was the root of the cause that caused them to go into cardiac arrest or have the blood clots or have the autoimmune diseases that they died from some other sickness or disease, but the root of it was the vaccine.
Yes, very, very definitely. And I will mention Dr. John Witcher in Mississippi. He has done so much good work in Mississippi to save people who have taken the vaccine, help them, or save people's lives during COVID. We've had many doctors in many different states like that that gave up their livelihood to help people.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Christians that took the vaccine out of fear, out of anxiety or whatever, whether it was mandatory with their job or whatever. And then there comes the enemy to put that guilt and condemnation on them because they didn't have faith to believe, to stand for it. And, we just need to lighten up. We need to pray, and people are forgiven. God can heal them. God can restore them and take that guilt and shame away from taking the vaccine. There's no condemnation in that because, everybody's situation is different. But I thank God that I stood my ground and did not take the vaccine. And never, ever. I mean, after, no, so I'm thankful that some of these states and these governors are rising up, doing what they're doing. So maybe more states will join in with them.
Okay, yesterday was the Kentucky Derby, and quite a derby it was, but I'm not going to tell you about it. Amanda Grace is. We want you to hear directly from Amanda, and she's got a good interpretation of the Derby. Then we got something else about the Derby we would like to share with you that comes from this. So it was a fantastic race, so let's listen to Amanda first.
Hello, everyone. Amanda Grace here. So the Kentucky Derby literally just ended minutes ago. Wait till you see the prophetic picture for the nation that the two horses, the first and second place, spelled out, and the 911 connection. So Renegade, who was in the number 1 position, came in second. Golden Tempo, who was in the number 19 position, came in first and won the race. Now, their positions together, the number 1 and 19 position, equal 911. Why does this all matter right now? Well, let's go to the names as well. President Trump said that we are entering America's golden age when he won in November of 2024. Former President Barack Obama, his Secret Service call name was Renegade. These two horses' positions equal 911. Donald Trump's presidencies, 45 and 47 equal 9/11. 4 plus 5 is 9. 4 plus 7 is 11. 911. This year, Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, begins on 9/11. Now, let's go back to September 11th, 9/11, 1683, the Battle of Vienna. Vienna was called the Golden Apple. The Ottomans faced off against the Christians and tried to take Europe. Now, in America's golden age that President Trump claimed we have entered, in the city called the Big Apple, which is New York City, there's your golden apple, Zohran Mamdani has been raised up in 2026, the year Rosh Hashanah begins on 9/11. This now collides with two horses, Renegade and Golden Tempo, whose numbered positions equal 911 and represents the golden age of America, right? Golden Tempo. And then you have the former president who's just come back out, Barack Obama. You have Renegade up there in second place, who tried to win and could not get ahead of Golden Tempo. Now, Golden Tempo came from last place in order to win this race. He literally was in last place and he worked his way up, and then Renegade could not hang in there and get past him. I believe this may be a picture forming, a 911 picture of the midterms and what it's going to look like with the midterms initially, and then what is going to transpire from there. I believe this is a hint at what we may see with the midterm races in this nation as well with November. But Renegade, Golden Tempo wins. Their positions equal 911. Continue to be watchmen right now. Keep the faith.
And this is really important what she's saying, because this is speaking. We have another thing to share about the Derby. Shane, if you'll put it up. This was um, a very interesting post that was put out. Well, we'll show this first, okay? This shows you where Renegade was. Renegade, but this is Golden Tempo. He was running last. And, the Bible says the last shall be first. Okay? Does that play, Shane?
The first quarter, which is there he is. Oh my gosh. He's
You see
already
how he
starting
comes
moving
up
out down the
through.
backside. He was 5 or 6 behind the last horse. Great ground saving trip by Jose Ortiz. Sometimes when you're that far back, Mike, that everybody makes their decision already, and you're left a lot of open lanes. Now he'll shift him out as he knows he's going to run into trouble if he doesn't, and he takes aim on his brother.
Look how far he
What a
comes out with the
tremendous kick
horse.
by Golden Tempo.
That's a lot of ground to make up in the stretch of the Kentucky Derby.
It is.
He's 7 or 8 lengths back at the top of the stretch still. The numbers on how far he ran are going to be amazing, right? Wow. And this is the pedigree of this horse. He has been dead last or second to last in almost every race he's run, but made a charge like this in a moment like this. A historic moment, Nick Luck.
Truly, Mike. And Cherie DeVoe is with Nephew Maverick.
He's the first quarter, which is
Well, that's amazing how he worked his way through from last to first. And that's what the Bible talks about. Also, Shane, we have another poster to talk about there. If you'll put that up about the Derby. There it is. I love this. This really says it all. Kentucky Derby, the coded message. Is it a coincidence or is it prophecy? You have the golden age. Hello. Okay, I think I can be heard. We all lost internet connection. So hopefully everybody else will get back on. Uh, very, very unusual for this to happen. So we were talking about the Kentucky Derby race, and wow, this suddenly kicked us all off. Let me just see where everybody is. So we will see what will take place here. But we were telling you about the Kentucky Derby, and I am so shocked about what just happened. Sorry about it happened. And we'll just pick up here. So apparently, this Kentucky Derby thing must be pretty big for us to get kicked off in the middle of it, and all three of us lose internet connection that's on here. So let me get back to where I was. And like I said, I'm sorry, but let's go ahead, and there's some more coming back. Let's see.
Can you hear me okay, Ruth Ann?
I can hear you okay. Wow. That was
Wow. That was interesting.
It was very interesting. I just said, I guess we're reporting something that doesn't need to be, nobody wants out there or something.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So we're waiting on Shane to get back on. I think he's working to get back here. But Sonia, if you will pick up
Okay.
Amanda Grace.
Yes.
Talking about we're at a Red Sea moment.
Yes. She says that the current tensions between the U.S. and Iran mirror the book of Exodus 14. And this is a military and spiritual standoff, a moment where God intervenes decisively. It's not just a conflict, but it's a divine turning point. Iran is prophetically compared to Pharaoh, and Iran's leadership is portrayed as hardened in heart, making bold, aggressive declarations, specifically statement that the U.S. belongs at the bottom of the sea. Now, this parallels with Pharaoh pursuing Israel into the sea. There's some. She also talks about there's a mistake as Pharaoh is the same mistake, and the claim is that Iran is misreading the situation, believing victory is theirs, but prophetically, this is seen as walking into a trap. And Pharaoh thought the sea opening equals victory, but it became his destruction. And, God set a trap for not the enemy. In the Red Sea story, God allowed the situation, then turned it suddenly. And events may look like escalation, but are actually divine positioning. And, the Lord's been talking to us about individually taking your position in the spirit. So I think that's really good. She connects the events to the Passover and second Passover. And this is a prophetic window of deliverance plus judgment. And what this means is God moves in appointed times.
He does.
She uses the crescendo moment, the crescendo collision course, and that things are building to a sudden event. This is parallel, meaning converging. And back in the book of Exodus, it talks about the Red Sea deliverance. They got delivered from the Red Sea. They walked through the Red Sea, God parted the water. And in the book of Esther, the reversal of evil decrees. And in Ezra, the national rededication. And this is good.
For us.
I mean, is that not the truth? I mean, come on, Jesus. That's awesome. All right. Now there's a conflict plus reversal plus restoration, and it's all happening together. And can't y'all just feel that even in your own personal lives? The conflict, the reversal, the restoration with what God's doing. I mean, it's like, come on, Jesus. This is awesome. And she says here that a major geopolitical tension, the U.S. and Iran, is being framed as biblical pattern repeating. Iran is cast in a role of Pharaoh, oppressor, aggressor. And the U.S. is positioned like Israel at the Red Sea, trapped, but about to be delivered. And this is what we need to understand is what looks like danger will turn into divine reversal and victory. Hallelujah. Woo-hoo. Can you say amen? I can. Okay. And, just to summarize this, this is not just tension. It's a Red Sea setup. And I think I go back to thinking about when Robin Bullock, went to Washington and had that Red Sea moment and had the prophecy and the words for that. And I think that ties into this somehow. I'd have to go back and read it. But the enemy thinks he's about to win. Come on. But God is about to turn the Red Sea into a place of deliverance. Hallelujah. I love that word.
That's right. And I think we are in a Pharaoh moment. And, they keep on not backing down because they think they're going to win like Pharaoh did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a
and
good
they're
word.
not.
Yes, you can listen to the rest of the word if you will go to Amanda Grace's website or YouTube, either
Mm-hmm.
one. So Katie Sousa, she had 2 or 3 visions. I think it's 3 visions of acceleration and reversal. The first vision, she said, she saw herself standing and looking down a road. Suddenly a bright red race car, a high-end Ferrari or Lamborghini, came speeding towards her with an incredible force and precision. It didn't slow down gradually. It came in fast and then slid sideways, positioning itself directly in front of Katie so that the passenger door faced her. The door opened. In that moment, she said she knew exactly what God was saying. Get in the passenger side, I'm driving. The car was red, and she understood the symbolism immediately. The red represented the blood of Jesus. It also represented warfare and victory through the cross. The speed of the car was supernatural, far beyond natural ability. And she knew it was not just personal, it was corporate. God was revealing that He's taking back control. He is driving, and He's bringing His people into a fast deliverance. We're at the Red Sea. Okay, we were been walking, but we're there now, fast deliverance. And the deliverance would not be slow. It will be rapid, forceful, and led entirely by Him. What a word, right? Okay, so let's start looking for that because that is really, to me, confirming the Red Sea deliverance that Amanda's talking about. I think we're here. Her second vision was the next day after the first one. Her foot was on the accelerator, okay, is what the name of it is. This time, she was inside a large truck, but her perspective was low, down near the floorboard where the pedals are. All she could see clearly was a foot wearing a cowboy boot, and the boot was pressing hard down on the accelerator. The pressure was intense, full force. As she watched, the Lord spoke. I'm putting the pedal to the metal. The meaning was unbelievable. God Himself was increasing the speed. Excuse me. It was not human effort trying harder. It was divine intervention. Sonia, would you pick that one up, please?
Yes, that God is accelerating time, God's accelerating opportunity, God accelerating provision and purpose. And she goes on to say that I understood that things that once moved slowly are about to move quickly. Delays are being overridden. Momentum is being released and it's connected to the scripture. Things are going to happen so fast your head will swim. And this is the season where events stack on top of each other. Breakthrough follows breakthrough. And time feels compressed. God is pressing the gas. So we can't stop what we're doing as we're partnering with him. That's what I'm getting out of this. In the vision 3, she had this, it says the flip flops, divine reversal. She said, shortly after, a friend shared a vision with me. And in her vision, we were in heaven and God was moving powerfully. And she looked at me and she heard me say, "Where are my flip flops?" That stood out because earlier that same day, I had seen the vision of the boot pressing the accelerator. Both visions involved shoes. So I looked up the meaning of flip flop, and what I found was profound. It means a sudden reversal. Immediately, the revelation came together, and God is not only accelerating things, He is reversing things. Everything that had gone wrong, the delays, losses, failures, missed opportunities, God is about to flip it. Not gradually, not eventually, but suddenly. What was behind you is about to move ahead. What was lost is about to be restored. What looked finished is about to be revived. The combined vision, one prophetic flow, these 3 visions are not separate. They are one message. The car, God takes control and brings fast deliverance. The accelerator, God increases speed and compresses time. The flip flop, God reverses outcomes and restores what is lost.
So we're hearing this through the prophets. We're hearing the prophets say God is going to restore, and that's huge, huge restoration. Okay? We have one more tonight. This was by Veronica West, but notice the date on this. This is August the 17th, 2021. And it's the title of this is The Stump Shall Sprout Again. Sonia, if you'll do this one.
Okay. She says, let me get down here. It says, I see you standing as a mighty oak tree, the tallest and strongest among the trees of the nations. And what she saw, the trees were cut down, axes hacking the tree, the oak being cut down and failing, people crying and mourning, a national crisis fall. Fear that. Destiny is lost, leadership is removed, warning against idolatry of leaders. It symbolizes political upheaval, national shaking. The Lion of Judah enters. I see the mighty Lion of Judah walking among the trees. The lion stands over the stump. He roars into the roots. Heaven and earth begin to shake. Jesus intervenes directly. God is defending what he planted, confronting darkness. I laugh at the folly of my foe that think they can uproot what I have planned. And the roar releases power. And what she saw was a rainbow roar from the lion, power going into the roots, the foundations, the 7 spirits of God activating. This means deep spiritual awakening, exposure of darkness, covenant power being activated. A great awakening is now come upon a nation. The whirlwind is shaking, judgment and harvest. And what she saw was a rainbow, whirlwind, Elijah. Heaven and earth shaking, sword and sickle, which means judgment and harvest. A season of judgment, cleansing, harvest. In the whirlwind of Elijah, judgment and harvest time within the nations. The eagle, America rises again. And what she saw was a great eagle, which represents America, landing on the stump, then rising again, meaning America falls, but it's not finished. Identity restored. The stump goes back to life, and that's resurrection. That which was cut down shall surely bud again and become greater and mightier than before. And what happens? The shoots burst from the stump. A new, fully grown oak tree emerges, stronger than before. Y'all, this means resurrection power, restoration of destiny, national rebirth. My resurrection power to raise a nation from the grave. The main thing to all of this is death, resurrection, and greater glory. The full flow of a vision. The vision is America is the mighty oak. Tree is cut down. There's a crisis. People mourn fear of loss. The Lion of Judah intervenes. Roar is released. Power, awakening. The whirlwind brings shaking. Eagle rises again, which is America. And tree is restored greater than ever before. There's some warnings in this vision. Do not idolize leaders. Expect shaking before restoration. Darkness will try to uproot foundation. You could say this, and it goes like this. What looked cut down is not finished. The roots still live. And God is about to breathe on the roots. And what seemed dead will rise again, stronger than before. Amen.
And this was in 2021. She saw this vision, and I think what we have seen is America rising again, just like this is said. So this is huge to say this is happening, and we've been living America rebirth, rising again. And if you tie this with the Kentucky Derby yesterday, and what the Kentucky Derby is saying about golden tempo, golden age, and getting in the rhythm of the golden age, because it says the knowledge of God will cover the earth, right? And we've got to see that. We've got to see the rebirth of America for America to spread the gospel. Isn't that huge? So, you got anything that you see prophetically to sum up?
The only comment I have about all this is I think that, with what's going on, with everything, I mean, there's just so much going on in the news and prophetically and how it ties into what the prophets are saying and the prophecies that we went over tonight. I think it's such a time as this that America is rising up and being who God has called her to be, with President Trump doing the rededication of America back to God is very significant along with these prophecies.
It is. It is very significant, and I think that's huge at the time we are. It's a great time to be alive. It's like, oh my gosh, it's awesome to see all this and watch all of this that's going on. So, Shane, do you want to give a summary of what's going on economically that you see?
Okay, well, summary economically is this: is as soon as Jerome Powell gave his final speech Friday, we had what I would consider a normal day in the markets as far as the amount of money that flowed through and everything. So whatever was being held back apparently was released. We're going to go into Monday tomorrow, and we're going to see. I know over the weekend we've had the shutdown with Spirit Airlines. And that was actually a looming shutdown. That was not a surprise. Understand that. A lot of people were surprised by it, but that was a looming shutdown. They've known this for years. And what it comes down to is it was the Democrats under the Biden administration that actually blocked it. I know a lot of people didn't realize that the Democrats blocked the merger that Spirit was trying to do in order to save Spirit Airlines, save the jobs and everything. And they bragged about blocking the merger. So since that was blocked, Spirit did go down. That was kind of already priced in economically to the stock market. So I'm not looking for a huge change in the stock market on that. That was pretty much already priced in. But I will tell you something about this. You can go to letsbuyspirit.com, and there is a gentleman that has put together a social media campaign by himself, in order for every American that wants to be a part of it to go in and buy a share of Spirit Airlines. And when they get enough money pledged, then they're actually going to go in and negotiate to buy Spirit Airlines, and it will be a co-op owned by Americans airline.
Wow.
Yeah. So he came up with this idea over the weekend, and he has already got so many people that have gone to the site that has already crashed the site and won't be back up until tomorrow. So they have already got $89 million pledged to buy
wow.
Spirit Airlines. And what he's asking everybody to do is $45. So he's already got $89 million worth of $49. $45 already pledged to buy Spirit Airlines. So to me, market economics, that right there kind of shakes up the industry. If that actually takes foothold and he can negotiate the deal and everybody can be a part of it, that is a form of taking back the economy.
It is.
So now you will have the airline owned by the people competing against Delta and all the big companies that have all the lobbyists and all that kind of stuff. So this will be a very, very interesting thing coming up this week to see how this is going to work, because
What's up?
Let's buy spiritair.com. Let's buy spiritair.com. So this will be very interesting because this could set precedent throughout the country for failing businesses that have been shuttered by the government to the people to come in and take them over. So this could set precedents in the nation. So economically, though, as far as gold and silver, we're still at that $4,600 for gold and about $75 for silver. Bitcoin has been on a rise over the weekend, but that's been mostly due to the fact that the UAE is currently using a lot of the Bitcoin transactions for their oil transactions at the moment. They are going to shift to American dollars. So how sustained this push up on Bitcoin is, I'm not exactly certain, but it is strictly based on the fact of what's going on right now with the UAE. They are using cryptocurrency for their oil trade at the moment that they just exited OPEC. I've got kind of conflicting from both sides of the fence with Bitcoin right now, where it's literally split 50-50 down the middle, with investors that are putting in sell orders and investors that are putting in buy orders. So it's really undecided right now in crypto where that's going to head. I see we're going to, from what I'm seeing, we're probably going to stall out for a day or two before that decision is made and let UAE settle in using US dollars and see how that works. As far as the markets overall in general, we went to all-time highs again on Friday. We broke all-time highs with the market, and that was due, in fact, to we were being pushed up, like I said last week, with a false push to all-time highs, because when you only have a $400 delta, and the delta is negative, but yet you push up to all-time highs, that right there showed that it was pure manipulation. When the investors came in and started releasing money on Friday, that was not manipulation. We're talking about millions upon millions of dollars coming in every single order block. And the deltas were in excess of $1 million. So Friday was probably the best day that we've had in, I would venture to say, at least 3 months in the market. So we're going to see if we can continue that into Monday. We have a lot of earnings reports coming out this week, so be watching that. The earnings reports always give you some pops up and down in the markets when they come out. But so far, the earnings reports last week were all good. So if we can continue that, then I would be looking for us to break 28,000 on the NASDAQ and push closer and closer to 8,000 on the S&P. So the all in all, the markets are actually looking a lot better. If we can finalize squeezing out OPEC and Iran within the coming week, then from there your market investments should be secured for a very long time.
Awesome. That's good news. Like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Golden age, right?
Yes.
We're getting closer.
We're getting a lot closer. I'm seeing the pattern start laying down in the charts. So if we can keep that, then what will eventually happen is we will have our next Bitcoin run sometime in the fall. Once the markets level out, we'll have our next Bitcoin run in the fall, and that's when we can start looking for that $200,000, $250,000 Bitcoin again.
Oh. Okay, that's good. So we want to talk about what's going on at the ministry, Global Vision. And I see what you have pulled up is you can go on the website or either message us and get your name on the list to pre-order my book, The 7 Redemptive Gifts, the right side, the wrong side, and the treasure you've been given on the inside. And this is a manual. It's a more or less a guide to how to find the wrong side or how you're operating on the wrong side of your gift from God. And it keeps you from being blessed. And so that's what this book is about. It's written as a manual to show you how to correct that so you can get in your blessing. And it takes each one of the gifts and goes in depth on what stops your blessing. So this is something that we will soon have printed and ready to mail. So let us know if you're interested. So anybody got anything else? Everybody good? Give us a thumbs up. Share the videos. Tell everybody there was just a blank in there where everybody lost internet, which was interesting for people in 3 different places to lose internet. We do have one thing we would like to show you before we go. Be sure and give us a thumbs up and leave your comment. We love comments. We'll answer your comment. And let's show you this final thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. And now, it's time! Ladies and gentlemen.
So America's coming back greater than ever before. Amen?
Absolutely.
Amen. Absolutely. So everybody be blessed. Have a great week. And we'll see you next Sunday night at 8:30 on Rumble at Prophetic Table Talk.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.